This is Al Otero with the Global Trade Chamber here, welcoming you to our weekly success stories seminars, where we showcase and highlight successful entrepreneurs in the U.S. and around the world. We're very excited to introduce today's speaker. I'm going to turn it over to Maria Rene de Davila, our CEO, and also the founder of the 100 Successful Women Convention.
Thank you so much, Al, and thanks everybody for joining another successful story. Today we have something very specific about construction. Our special guest is Miss Ann McNeil. She's the president and CEO of McNeil Construction, but also she is the founder of the National Association of Black Women in Construction. I was very impressed with her bio. She has over 40 years in the industry. And also, Ms. McNeil is an award-winning recipient for 2020 of the 100 Successful Women in Business. So with this, we're going to welcome Ms. McNeil.
Well, good morning. Good morning. Again, my name is Ann McNeil, and I am the master builder, helping to build stronger and better lives. And I do that with my McNeil Factor insights by encouraging, uplifting, and inspiring. Thank you. And it's great to be here.
Great, and we're so happy to have you. You're actually in Miami, in our neighborhood. Because yesterday we had somebody from India on our Success Stories. So we're very happy to have somebody here from our South Florida. So very exciting. We're very impressed to see the amazing work that you have done for women entrepreneurs and in a very man-dominated industry, construction. So I think you're a trendsetter, a groundbreaker, and you, I'm sure, have motivated and inspired many women to get involved in construction, because 20 years ago, very few women were involved in construction.
Even now, I don't think that women in construction is a popular sector that you can talk about. When you hear about construction, is usually dominated by male, right?
Correct.
And what motivated you to get into the construction?
Money.
Number one.
That is a good answer.
Money.
Very good.
Me to enter the construction industry because December 31st, 1979 at about 9 p.m. Actually, I picked up a copy of the book and I was looking for it. Let me have a copy of the book. I was in a corporate job, and this is how I ended up in construction. I was in a really good corporate job, and my husband and friends decided December 31st, 1979 at 9 p.m. to go out and celebrate the new year. I decided to stay home and read this book. And I have many versions of Think and Grow by Napoleon Hill. But what happened for me that night is I was asked by the author 4 questions, and he gave me 6 steps to riches. He asked me, Ann McNeil, how much money do you want? I never thought about it. And the second question he asked me was about what are you going to do to get the money? I never thought about it. Third question he asked me was about what date do you want the money by? I mean, I'm a young person, just started my career. I had never thought about that. Nobody had asked me that before. But Al, by the time I got to question number 4, when the author said in the book, and I put my name in here, I'm going to ask all of your listeners to do the same thing. He said, Ann McNeil, where's your action plan for exactly how you're going to get the money? And that was a turning point of my life and my career. And I decided that since I was home alone, that I would answer the question. So first question, how much? I said, I'd like $1,000. Second question, doing what? I said, I'd save the money. Third question, by when? I said a year from then, which was December 31st, 1980. But Al, when I got to question 4, I couldn't answer the question because I decided in my mind, I said, I make this much, I spend this much, I got a negative number. I refused to I refuse to believe that. But that's the
Fundamental things.
exactly. But that's the journey that I took that allowed me and propelled me to become the first Black female contractor in the state of Florida, operating at the level that we do, focusing on billion-dollar programs. And so that was the beginning of my journey. I mean, there's 30, 40 years in between that point and this point, but that was the beginning really of the self-discovery for myself.
But of course, the education is very important component. I know that you have a master's degree in finance and also you have a degree in accounting. So that definitely talk about money, you need to have um, all the part that are the important in terms of the lessons that you need to learn every day. You need to know the concept of how to manage the money, right?
Correct, correct. But I don't think that managing the money comes naturally because we're not taught how to manage the money. And so that's another conversation that might be for another show because I'm also a volunteer with an awesome organization called Better Investing. It's also originally was called in 1951 the National Association of Investors Corporation. And the reason I say that is because going to your point, we're taught from education and from our careers how to make the money, but we're never taught how to make the money make money. And that opens up the whole world of investing. Something as
Yes.
simple as $20 a month compounded over 10, 20, 30, 40 years, you're sitting on six figures. And with the market the way it is now, it is everything is on sale.
You're right. Talking about the market and specifically about the construction, how you see the construction industry is doing right now due to the crisis that is actually global?
Well, when you talk about crisis, I made a commitment. It was starting with the first one. I refuse to really give it a name. A lot of people give it a lot of names. It starts with a C and it ends with a number. So I refuse to give it a name. But what I've decided to do was to change the way I think about it, the way I see it as a contractor. So when all of this first started back at the end of February and beginning of March, and everybody was told to stay home, the mayor of Miami said, everybody shut down, stay home, except contractors. And I was very excited because I'm in a building in Miami with 50 different small businesses in this building. I was the only person to come to work every single day during what people call a crisis. I call it an opportunity for growth. So what I did every single day, I came to work, I made a commitment to do a live stream on this book to encourage, inspire, and to uplift. And let me show you what happened. 5 days a week, every day, I called my clients, I connected with my employees, five businesses, I have five businesses. I connected with my potential clients in the construction industry, the owners, and all I did every day was just call and check in on people. We have more business now than we had before this started. So when you ask me the question, how is the business, how is the industry? I contend that is whatever it is that we each choose to make it. And sure, that a lot of people say, oh, you know, this is happening. That's yes, it is. But what are your listeners choosing to do as a result? We have no control over crisis number one or crisis number two. Now, you can use the figment of your imagination. You know the second crisis that happened while the first crisis.
Yes.
I refuse to give it a name. But what I choose to do every day is to just be the very best Ann McNeil I can be. And that's how that's how I'm dealing with it. And I can honestly say that above and beyond all I could ask or think, we have more business now than we have had coming into this.
That's phenomenal. Maria, tell us about her being an award recipient.
Oh yeah, well, Miss Ann McNeil is part of our women network. It's not just local, as you know, it's a global organization. And we're doing the events in several cities. But this year, because also the popularity that Ms. McNeil has in the community, we decided to give her an award this year as a recipient of the Successful Women in Business for 2020. So she's gonna be receiving the award this year.
Well, thank you, thank you. That's a surprise.
Yes, you have been selected as one of the 100 recipients for the 100 Successful Women event this year.
Well, I'm
You
honored.
are.
I'm honored. Al, I told you before the show started, I want to say this to all of you that may or may not know Al. He is one of the most endearing, consistent, persistent entrepreneurs you will ever meet. Very creative. Yes, you are, Al. Like I said to you, I've been following you for 20
Wow.
years. In the other chambers, yes, Al. So even though you're honoring me, I just want to let the world know that as quiet as it's kept, we honor you. And a lot of our members from the National Association of Black Women in Construction have also attended your events and have been very pleased with the programs that you promote. So I just want to just give you that shout out.
Well, it's people like you that motivate and drive me to help other people as a team because everybody has different strengths, accomplishments, different talents. So what I try to do for many years is bring all this together and for people to share. And that's how we have grown. And you're one of the reasons we're here. And
Well,
that
thank you.
motivates me.
Well, thank you. And I've always seen you as a visionary. You're always out front of a lot of initiatives and a lot of activities. And so you may not know, but there are lots of us that are watching.
Wow, I'm honored,
Wow.
impressed.
So we're gonna do the Successful Men in Business.
Yes, 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 yes. And Al is the top of the list. He's the top of the list.
Definitely. Well, Al is not just a great partner, but is a true leader. And just the fact that we work together is for me a privilege. And I know that everybody that is on the team thinks the same. Yeah, by the way, thank you so much for all your contribution with the Chamber Al. Talking about accomplishment, I would like to know more about the accomplishments that you had in your career.
Your highlights,
Highlights of, I have to turn my volume up a little. Highlights of,
your career.
well, how much time do you have?
Seven 7 days.
You know,
Give me top five.
well, the top five, thank you for quantifying that. I would say the top five, if you were to ask highlights of my career, I really would say that first and foremost, it would be family. It would be family, and right above that, it would be my salvation. I have to say that because I am a faith believing person, but I work like it all depends on me, and I pray like it all depends on God. And I say that because there's no way that I can endure. We all go through things, and
Yes.
so I will get to the struggles because I don't want anybody listening to the show thinking that the life has been all roses, because there are struggles in business, there are struggles in family, there's struggles in life and crisis. I think what's equally as important is how do we share with your audience, what do you do to come through? Because that's more important, because it's going to happen. You just don't know when, you don't know how, but coming through it to get to your desired goal, I think is the ultimate desire. But the accomplishments for me, would say one starts with family and the fact that I'm married to my boyfriend of
Oh,
over
that's fun.
40 years. We met in
Wonderful.
college, and
Wonderful.
it's not
Wow.
been easy, and sure, there have been rough years.
Yes.
But the fact is that this is till death. That's first. The second is the children. My daughter, I call her the queen of Toastmasters. She's
Good for her.
also, accomplished in her own
Wow.
right. First daughter. My second daughter, and you can Google her, has been named as the baby billionaire. And she started investing at age 7, second grade, with the piggy bank. And by the time she was age 11. And this is at, we're volunteers with this organization, Better Investing. And if we can put that in the chat, Shania, if you can put that in the chat for me. Betterinvesting.org is a not-for-profit organization that teaches individual investors how to invest and how to analyze stocks for free. Basically, we're just volunteers. When my daughter, I used to drag her along with me to class, not realizing she was the only one of all of us understanding the information. So by the age of 11, she started teaching. And by the age of 16, the Miami Herald did a cover story on her. Black Enterprise, she's been in, on the news and different magazines. But the major accomplishment for that, I would say, was when she was invited out of 5,000 girls in the United States, she ranked #1 for her business. And she's authored a book called How to Start an Investment, How to Build a Baby Billionaire in terms of investing. And so before the age of 30, hit 6 figures in her portfolio. Now, I say that because, again,
that's beautiful.
That is an accomplishment that you don't get awards for that as a parent. And so we can talk about, yes, I'm named this and I'm here, but none of that matters if we cannot point to the people that we live with every day. My grandson, another major accomplishment, he, at one point when he was 13, he was a Dell consultant where he had opportunity to meet and collaborate with Michael Dell through WeBank, and became a consultant at 13 and 14, where Dell products, they would send them to him to test and to keep, but to also comment. And at one point, he was in the top 1% on Twitter. So, very successful business person, authored his first book at age 9, his second book at age 11. So when you talk about accomplishments, these are families. Now, I say all of that because this book has been the foundation of everything you've heard me say. Both of the children started reading the book at second grade.
That's amazing. I mean, we're going to put it on the list. Our next guest is going to be your daughter. That was a beautiful success story.
And your grandson.
Yes, I'm sure. Definitely.
But I'm sure that you being in the construction industry is a tough industry, and you being a woman is not easy. So tell us about your challenges, the challenges that you had in 40 years doing this.
Well, let's start with the first challenge. The first challenge was the story I told earlier about the money. The night, I want to go back to that and I'll come up to your question. When I sat there that night, December 31st, and I realized that I was so deeply in debt with no possible way of getting out, I realized I needed to do something. So I continued to read the book, and that was when I was introduced to the mastermind concept. So after being introduced to the concept, I started giving the book away to friends, and we formed in 1980 the first mastermind group. Well, in the first 10 years, all of our members became extremely successful, and that's when I started my construction business. I knew absolutely nothing about construction, nothing. So this is where the struggle starts. Very often, what we do as women especially, we'll see an industry like construction and we'll say, oh, I don't know anything about it, so I'm not going to enter that industry. I did just the opposite because of understanding the principles and the struggles from the people in the book. I knew that I did not need to know everything about construction. I needed to know how to access specialized knowledge of other people who knew about construction, hire them to help me because I knew about business. And that's how I started my business. Came home from work one day, my husband said to me, we had bought our own house and we were having repairs made. And this is how I entered the construction industry. Talking about how I was going to make this money. So I had a good corporate job. I came home and my husband said, if I had it to do all over again, I would not go to college. Now, my husband graduated valedictorian from our university. And for him to say to me he would not go to college, and he had 2 degrees, I'm in the process at the time in the 80s working on a second degree. I have an undergraduate degree in accounting, and I was working on a master's in finance. And so I said to him, you wouldn't go to college? You got to be kidding me. He said, Ann, no. He said, think about it. He said, these guys come in here to give us construction estimates on different parts of this house. And he said, I did the math. He said, if we self-perform the work ourselves, the savings, and is more than you make a year. Now, Al, I'm not,
Imagine.
I'm not, I'm not that smart, but I married up, and I'm smart enough to listen when my husband said that, you know, he did the math.
Amazing.
And so I then decided at that moment, I told him, I said, well, I'll go to trade school and go into construction while working on my corporate job. And that's what I did. So to fast forward, I took a leave of absence from my corporate job, and I started volunteering after the first riots of McDuffie riots in Miami. Al, you shaking your head. You might remember the
I
McDuffie
remember.
riots.
Yes, yes,
So
it's
that is
horrible.
the year, Al, when the McDuffie riots happened in Miami. Blacks represented 0.1% of the county's contracts, but blacks represented 30% of the county's tax base. That's how I ended up in construction, because we had this set aside, but there were no black contractors. And
Mm,
so all of that is a struggle, if you will, in terms
yes,
of what we
absolutely.
have to overcome. So when you talk about being black in construction and being a woman in construction and then being a black woman in construction, I don't see that as a challenge. I see that as an opportunity.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir,
Absolutely.
an opportunity to make a difference, but it starts with the mindset shift of each of your listeners. See, it doesn't matter what challenges people are going through. The solution is within if you are willing to do the work. And so that's where I found myself in that place every step of the way, at every struggle and challenge, to do the internal work that was required for me to overcome the racism. I can talk about all of those things, but honestly, this is such a positive show that is really
Yes.
not important. What's more
No.
important than that, that's why we call it successful women. And we will all find that the most successful women are overcomers from the
That's a
struggles.
fact. Yes. It's not an easy uh, to overcome challenges, to overcome social or racial injustice for any race, Hispanics, anybody. But the point is attitude. The
Exactly.
whole key to everything in life is attitude. You go
Exactly.
in with an attitude of not getting out. So you're gonna find a way to make it work, and that's our attitude here. I mean, who starts an international chamber of commerce, and we still don't see anybody else trying to do it, because how do you bring all the communities and nationalities together? So we were completely multicultural, multiracial, multicultural, multinational, and we started bringing all those communities together. And now they're all working together and they're building
Exactly.
relationships. So all those stereotypes are gone, because in business they don't exist. They can't exist.
Exactly.
And you're
Exactly.
building a legacy, and that is your number one accomplishment. I think that is what I get from everything you're doing. I think
Absolutely.
I'm excited.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's how the National Association of Black Women in Construction was formed. And that's nabwic.org if any of your listeners are interested, nabwic.org. But also, that's also how the International Mastermind Association and Alliance was formed. Because when you think about what you're doing for chambers, I looked at the fact that a family goal, husband, wife, and children. Where can you go to be held accountable for every area of your life as a family? Now, we go to one place for growth, spiritual, let's say. We may go to a different place for growth, college and education. We may go to a different place for growth, our civic associations or professionals or for business. But where can a family go to have all of these areas covered in one place? And that's why I years ago created the International Mastermind Association for mastermind groups to come together and families to come together and forming a mastermind group to focus on 10 areas. And we're talking about successful women. What do successful women want to do? We want to have some kind of balance, which we know is no perfect, it's not perfect, but spiritual, family, financial, health, education, personal development, your career and your business, your recreation, creativity, and civic. So that's what we do, Al. We set goals for 6 months, 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, and I'm right now in my 40th year of living the goals I set 40 years ago. So that's the international mastermind concept and goals for where you're talking about successful women, and a lot of successful women are coming up out of this and
Yes.
connecting with organizations like yours. So that's when you talk to me about accomplishments, that's another one of the accomplishments.
Amazing. A lot of our viewers are always trying to improve themselves, try to organize their careers, their lives, their work. So tell us about what is your typical day, how you manage your time, being multitask, being involved in
Great
all
question.
these activities.
Great question.
Yes, a great question. And I have to reach 1 second. Now, I did not know you were going to ask that question, but
Good.
this is how I start my day. I start my day, it's called a daily date with myself. And it's published by me, but it
Wow.
started with journaling. That's how I start my day. I'm a very early riser. And I also have a mastermind group called Early Risers. All we do is just text up. We don't talk. We don't say anything. We just text the word up to a group me. That's it. So my day starts with rising usually between 3:30 every morning. And wait, you asked me how does my day
That's
How
start?
good.
you do
That's good.
it?
Yeah.
Okay,
Amazing.
all right now. So this is my day. You asked about my day,
That's good.
but
I love
but
it.
let me go back because I don't want people listening to this thinking, lady, you got to be crazy. When I started this, no, everything point story, camera, point story. I have to make sure, Al, that we understand. When I started this process of masterminding, I was one of those people that got up at 7 o'clock, and I had to be to work at 8. Now, I know none of your listeners can relate to this, but this is my story. So I had to be to work at 8. I got up at 7 and I had baby drop off. So I was late every day. I mean, but the more I worked on myself and the more I desired to save that $1,000 and begin to learn how to make money with my job, I realized I could not do that by getting up at 7 o'clock. So I pushed the clock back about 15 minutes. And I got a little bit more done. I pushed the clock back to 6:30. I got just more done. I pushed it back to 6 o'clock. I was able to read in the morning.
Wow.
I was able to pray in the morning. And I was able to just get my day just a little better organized. Now remember, I'm in a mastermind group. Our mastermind group met every Saturday morning at 7 a.m. and we rotate homes. And what I began to realize is that the goals I was setting for my life and my business, and I had a job at the time, there was no way to do all I wanted to do and give my job my very best. Remember, Al, we all have 3 sets of 8s. We have 8 hours to work, we have 8 hours of sleep, and we each have a third set of 8 to do whatever we want. So then I pushed my clock back to 5:30 and I got much more done. Then I pushed my clock back to 5 o'clock. And now I'm able to just peace, be still, meditate, read, pray, and plan my day. Then I pushed my clock back to about 4:30. And I would give my
Amazing.
you asked me about how do I
I
start my
love it.
day.
I
Okay,
love
this
it.
is my date with myself. This is
Wow.
this is my date with myself.
Wonderful.
And I wrote this because many people would say to me, you have 5 businesses. How do you do it all? One small act, one small thing at a time. See, people see you, Al, where you are today, but they don't remember the Al 10, 20, 30, 40 years ago. They see you all accomplished and all sharp, wearing your suit, and wait, everybody, he's always surrounded by beautiful women. So just look, whenever you see him, trust me, Trust me.
Well, look at you.
Big- case in point. But I kept pushing the clock. Now I'm at my limit now because I do go to bed very early. But my point is this: it is not how much time, is what do we do with the time.
Absolutely.
See, a lot of people get up, they invest 30 minutes, and they do absolutely nothing in the 30 minutes but dread going to work. But what if they had a desire, dream, or goal, and then say, you know what, I have 30 minutes. I am going to plan my day. I'm going to focus on my desire. And that's what I started doing. So now my daily date with myself, and I have, let me just read these pages. This is my journal book. I require my mind when I rise to do what I call a brain dump. And I just whatever's top of mind, I write it down, write it. One of my favorite books is Julia Cameron, The Artist Way. The Artist Way. She has what she called morning pages. I call mine the daily date with myself. And what I do is I just empty my mind of everything. And Al, I'm gonna ask you this, and both of you this. What's one of the first things you do when you get up in the morning? Anybody? Your listeners, what's the
Well,
first?
I'm drinking water every day now.
Okay, drink water. And Al, what did you say?
My coffee. I can't
Okay,
live without
one
my
drinks
coffee.
water, one drinks coffee. Now I'll tell you what I do. First thing I do, because I drink the water at night. If people say, well, how do you lift? Do you have alarm clock? I don't do alarm clocks. I drink water at night, full glass or two, and tea. And guess what happens right at between 3 and 3:30?
You have to go.
Clockwork. What is it,
You
Al? What is
have to
it?
go. You have to go
I have to go where?
to the bathroom.
I've got to go to the bathroom. And guess what I started doing when I go? I don't go back to sleep.
Oh,
See, most people go to the bathroom, they go back to sleep. Now, this is what I
yes.
want to challenge everybody who's listening. Why do you go to the bathroom? To relieve yourself physically. What if the next day you did not go? What if the next day you did not go? How about the third day you did not go? Now, I want to make this live. You ask the questions, I'm just here to share. Wait, this is great. I want you to think about this when you get up tomorrow morning. Your mind is the same way. We get up and relieve our body, but we never stop to realize you need to relieve your mind. You need to relieve your emotions. And that's what you do when you journal on the page. So I have a system, I have a process, it's a date with myself. And so I go to the bathroom, and when I do that, I relieve my body. Then I go and I journal, I relieve my mind.
Well,
While relieving my
we're going
mind,
to.
I read and pray.
I think we have
Good tips for us to learn.
a lot of great tips. I think that you are going to be a regular with us because you have such a wealth of information that's going to help other people. So you will be invited again. We're going to ask you to do a couple of webinars
Definitely, webinars are so
one,
important.
yeah,
Yeah.
on the different keys that you have to empower and help people all over the world because we're reaching people around the world. So
It would
you
be my
are,
honor. It would be my honor, Al. It would be
you're
my
awesome.
honor.
I mean, she is really awesome. Did
She
I
is.
tell you?
She is. That's why she's receiving an award this year.
So bringing incredible people like Ann to our platform, it's really humbling. It's an honor, and we really are so excited and empowered by the short time that we were able to spend with her.
Yes. But this year we're going to be doing more things. Remember, everybody, if you want to see Ann in person, you have the chance to do it this September 19th at the Convention Center in Miami. We're going to be sharing with you more information about that. Thank you so much, Miss Ann, for being part of this interview today. And definitely you're going to be joining this interview in the future with other topics and
Yes.
also presenting webinars.
We can't wait. You're part of our family, and we're so happy to have you with us.
It was my honor. I want to thank you both for the invitation, and I will look forward to connecting with you and with your audience This has been phenomenal, and I want to thank all of your listeners. I see us streaming live on Facebook, and so
Yes.
I just really want to again encourage, inspire, and to uplift. And if any of your listeners would like to connect with me, I do host a Clarity Mastermind, and they can just go to my website, and the details are there. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you so
All
much.
right. Thank
Bye
you.
bye.
All right. Bye bye.